Hey D5, welcome. Hey, welcome back to Tux on Twitch. Back today with one of my favorite decks, the first deck that I got into Legacy with, Death and Taxes. This is a list that is pretty much XJ Cloud's list, but I just want to make one change, and that's Charming Prince. I'm a huge fan of this card. It is obviously kind of fun to a lot of players, but I really enjoy its ability to flicker as early as turn 2 with Aether Vial. And I think with Solitude it's pretty sweet. Obviously that's kind of Christmas land, but I do like that it lowered the curve a little bit. I believe XJ was playing double Revoker, which is fair enough. There's definitely a lot of targets right now. Looking at things like Dark Depths, we have Mox Diamond, Sylvan Safekeeper. Obviously the artifact decks are pretty high. There's still Planeswalkers running around like Teferi and Jace, opposing LEDs and other things like that can be pretty big as well. So I do like having a Revoker as a recruiter target, but otherwise the list is pretty cool. We are playing some new cards. Solitude is one of them, which I think fits into this deck pretty well, and hopefully we can get some value off it by flickering its effect. And then also Kaldra, which is an artifact I haven't tried out yet in Maverick. I have seen some players, shout out to Matt, for trying it out and getting success with it. But I really like it in Death and Taxes because you can reset it and reset the germ without having your only out of being the equip for 7s. So Kaldra should be pretty sweet. This deck is also running 24 lands. I really like the 12 basics. And then just the pretty straightforward mana base of 4 Port, 4 Wasteland, 3 Karakas, and a Flagstones. Mainly because of Cataclysm, but yeah. Powder Cake's an interesting one. Some may say, hey, why are you playing Powder Cake over Ratchet Bomb? That's weird. Powder Cake's cool because it kills all the artifact lands in these Affinity lists that are coming around. Haven't seen them too much as of late, but I do like it as kind of a one-of, because it can come in handy a lot of the time. To the board, we have 3 Deafening Silence for fast combo, 2 Path to Exile for Delver and other creature matchups, Containment Priest, pretty good against some of the graveyard decks, but also against some of the Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order type of decks. So I do like the one-off Priest, especially as a recruiter target. Also is removal with Flicker Wisp, which is kind of cool, because if you flicker out your opponent's creature with the Containment Priest in play, it doesn't come back, which is cool. Graveyard Hate. I've been seeing a lot of BUG Hogak recently, so I wanted to go pretty high on this. We have the Containment Priest, of course, but then 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Surgical, and a Grafdigger's Cage. Cage just really nice because it comes in against a lot of things. Again, kind of like Containment Priest, good against Green Sun Zenith, Natural Order, a few other little things. Sort of Fire Nice. Just nice to have that in the 75 as a Stoneforge target. Probably for some of the matchups where we don't think Stoneforge is going to survive, to put in a complete or Batterskull. And also just for some of the decks that are running around that are playing a lot of blue and red cards, specifically blue-red Delver. But Sword, really nice. I think one of the biggest printings in the past 2 years, other than Deafening Silence, has been Skyclave. It's really nice to have in the deck, especially with an ETB trigger. It just lines up really well with Flicker Wisp, Charming Prince. Kind of is just a catch-all, which is really nice. So Skyclave is pretty awesome. It's definitely made the DNT mirror a lot more exciting, because it's not so much about Mother of Runes and Jide, especially now that Jide can be answered in game 1. It's not just a case of like flicker it out or revoker it and hope that those 2 are enough for you to gain advantage. But yeah, Skyclave's pretty sweet. I don't have much to say. I'm going to say that the best way to really get through the deck list is to grind some games. So hopefully we'll get 2 leagues in tonight. That'd be really good. So we'll see how that goes. But if you have any suggestions on a replacement for the kind of slot that I'm putting Charming Prince in, let me know. If you're on YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitch, let me know in chat, let me know in the comments. Nice. Cool. I hope you're all doing well. Sorry. I hope you're all doing well. Played some green-white Maverick last night, which was pretty fun. Don't want to give away any of the scores, but it was, yeah, really interesting to go back and see how that deck has been progressing as we've gotten cards like Prismatic Ending and Plague Engineer and Clothis there's a lot of reasons to be splashing a color in Maverick. And it's pretty tough to just go with green-white just because of the mana base, so you have to go to YouTube and watch those. This is the deck I own on MTGO. I want to see how MH2 upgrade affects it. Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. It is really nice to have the Caldra. That's obviously a card that really gives this deck a lot of aggression. A little bit like what Questing Beast did to Maverick. How can I forget the deck? And then Solitude's nice because it allows Maverick to tap out and still hold up some sort of removal, which I think is pretty key. A lot of people think that once D&T's tapped out a lot of the time, other than when Vial's open, there's not too much that we can do. You know, unless we're a deck where we're bringing in Surgical or Mindbreak Trap, Solitude just isn't a card that you really think of. A little bit like Slaughter Pact in like the old modern days. It just wasn't a card that you were always aware of, so I do like that. Obviously Solitude has some benefits as well that if we can pull off, I'd be pretty happy. Things like ETB on the stack, Flicker, but yeah, should be pretty cool. Alright, let's go to in-game and see how this flies. Alright, up against Aaron Relentless. On the play. Haha! Look, I am a big fan of Vial, but probably not this hand. It's got some nice setup. It also has just like turn 1 Vial and a turn 2 Port is really nice, but the extra Vials are just really, really overkill. Batterskull as well is not really what I want the opening. So hopefully we can mulligan to a 6 with Vial. Something like Vial Plains Land Thalia Mum. This isn't it, but it's pretty okay. I'm just going to bottom the Solitude and then hold open turn 1 Mum, turn 2 Flagstones to play around Wasteland, and then turn 3 we have the White Source for either Skyclave or Flickwisp. Hopefully Skyclave into Flickwisp the following turn. Let's get some extra value. I don't think there's any reason to play the Flagstones first, so... Opponent kept 7. What did I cut for those cards? Oh, this is going to be the Mirror. Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty nice draw, to be fair. Because Skyclave would have just been a little bit slow for Mum here. This is pretty nice. If my opponent has a turn to Stoneforge, we have the Skyclave here to hit it, which is nice. I'm going to assume they go for a big threat, but they go for Jide. Okay. Plains is pretty nice here as well because it just allows our mana base to play around Wasteland. And I think I am happy to Skyclaving here. It also turns on Skyclave next turn. Thanks to Flickwisp. Loverboy, I'll come back to you. In between games, I'll look at what people have cut for those cards. Because it is hard to think of the D&T list before Modern Horizons, now those cards are in. But I believe little things like the 4th Flickwisp is out, like the 2nd Revoker. Sorry. Anything like Mirran Crusader or Serra Avenger. Palace Jailer as well. Huh. So I think I'm happy just to play a land and pass. I don't want to attack here because if my opponent blocks, then I'm most likely going to get pro, and that just opens me up to Swords to Plowshares. So I'd rather just play a land and pass and try to find a better target for Wisp on Skyclave than just the Spirit here. I'm not going to play the Caracas either, because if they have a Thalia, I want them to play it. If they see the Caracas, they're probably not going to play it. Also, if my opponent plays like a Mother of Runes, that's obviously a great target for Skyclave. If they try to just play out the Jide, that's pretty nice as well. If my opponent tries to like Revoker the Mother of Runes, this is fine. Definitely going to try to get pro here. Interesting, they let that slide. Huh. Just trying to get some damage in. Okay. That's not the worst. And I think just because of the Wasteland here, I'm not going to play the Caracas this turn, because I want to have access to 5 mana next turn to play out Batterskull. So I don't want to like play the Caracas, get a Wasteland for no reason, and then untap and not have the 5th mana for Batterskull. So I think here it's just going to be a pretty easy Wisp. Take out Mum. I guess the only reason to play the Caracas is if my opponent potentially plays a Thalia that also taxes the Batterskull. But I feel like they would Caracas, they would Wasteland Caracas first and then play Thalia. We're going to play the Jide out. Interesting. Okay. Alright. What am I sipping on? A company called Jarvie sent me some cold brew, which is very cool. Okay. I think this turn we're just going to try to remove the Mum, because we can, thankfully, because of my deck building, we have Recruiter into Charming Prince to then flicker the Skyclave and hit the Mum. I feel like that's a play. I could also take out the Jide, but I think I'm more... I really don't want them to have a Mum. But this is actually a pretty interesting turn. We've already got rid of one of their Mums. This is their second. If I allow them to have the Mum, they don't currently have a flyer. But if we take out the Jide, they don't really have much left. I mean, Jide's a pretty big reason, a big way to win the game in game 1. But definitely playing the Caracas. They didn't have another Mum in hand. Ah, there's a third one. There we go. There's one under here. Okay, so we definitely get to attack first. I guess they could have had Swords to Plowshares. Try to Swords it in response, then we have to give it pro white, and then the Charming Prince fizzles. This is a tough one. I guess we do have our own Stoneforge Mystic into Jide on the Flickerist to get rid of Mum. So I could see just getting rid of the Jide here. They could also go like Revoker into Jide. So actually I'm going to get rid of the Jide here. But tough call. Maybe we'll see how it goes. It could have gone either way. I just feel like, yeah, Jide gives them a lot more ways to get back into the game and away from our own Mother of Runes than their own Mother of Runes does. But that's why you love the matchup. It's so good. So good. Talk about it for hours. Alright. Will they... They're going to attack with the Spirit. Pretty happy to let this fly. Yeah, I think Jide's just... It just causes so many more blowouts. But... Vile's a little bit late, but this game's probably going to go long, so we'll see if they Wasteland or not. They don't Wasteland us. Oof. So that's pretty huge. Three in the air is free here. Batterskull also really nice, because it kind of... If they do want to attack... They have to use the Mum preemptively, which puts me in a weird position because it means I can untap and draw into some sort of removal spell. Now goes the Crackers. That might mean they drew a Thalia. Yeah. Which is actually interesting because what they could have done is, I guess not because of the Batterskull, but by playing the Thalia there, they're showing that they don't have Swords to Plowshares. Or at least they can't cast it this turn, so there's no real good attacks. So luckily you don't have to worry about too much there. I'm going to attack with both. They're going to get pro. Okay. A trip to the beach in Texas. I guess I could have equipped to the Flickerwisp. Maybe that was correct. Do I just tap out here for that? I actually don't mind that. It does turn off the return, but I think that's okay. Definitely should have thought about that turn a little bit more, because I think attacking with the Wisp with Batterskull attached is a lot better than trying to attack with both. It was interesting though to see that Aaron was pretty happy just to block and give pro and not think that the last card in our hand was a Swords to Plowshares or a removal spell. Pretty happy to take this. Yeah, okay, interesting. Obviously the 3 cards in hand just weren't that great, maybe extra Thalias, but I think that was a misplay not to attack with the Flickerwisp equipped, because then we also have it on defense, which makes it really tough again for them to actually get through. Interesting. So, I guess one other card we don't really want in this is Prelate. I think these are the 5 that I want to take out. I do want the Parts, I want the Judgment. I probably don't mind the Containment Priest, and it's probably between Powder Keg and Sword. And also Spirit, I think that's okay. I like turning all my threats into, or all my creatures into possible threats. Revoker by itself might not be a threat, but with a Sword of Fire and Ice it is a kind of must answer, which is cool. Yeah, I do like the Cataclysm. I did cut down to 1 just to fit in some more one-offs, but pretty happy with where it is. Yeah, Keg's pretty cool. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a fuse counter on Powder Keg, which is pretty similar to Ratchet Bomb, but with Ratchet Bomb you have to actually tap it as well. So a little bit of a upside is that with something like Null Rod, with Powder Keg you can still put the counters on it, but with the Ratchet Bomb you can't. So this only takes kind of the 1 tap effect to do what you want to do. But with Ratchet Bomb, you kind of have to tap it and then untap it and then tap it and untap it and then actually tap it to sack it. So, and it's, yeah, sack it, destroy each artifact and creature with mana value equal to the number of fuse counters on Powder Keg. I think these five are fine. pretty fortunate there with some of our draws, just drawing the removal when we really wanted it, or the flicker effects, but I think we also put ourselves in a position where they were still relevant, which is nice. This is a really interesting one because the trample is obviously very effective against the Mother of Runes, especially when equipped with Jide. I think in that situation you're in a pretty good position anyway, but having the trample effect is really nice. A double Cracker's hand isn't great. This hand does have an answer to turn 1 Mum and Powder Keg, and actually has a pretty okay answer to an Aether Vial in Containment Priest, so I don't mind this hand. It also has a second Crackus in case the first one gets Wastelanded, but it obviously is a little bit slow. Also, if we go turn 1 Mum, land go, turn 2 Powder Keg, and then turn 3, if they have like a Skyclave or some sort of disenchant effect, they can deal with the Powder Keg. So I don't mind trying it out. I think it's an okay hand. Yeah, Fire and Ice over the Cauldra is where it is. There's a really good article on the Min-Max blog that John XJCloud wrote that goes over some of the reasoning why they put Cauldra in the main deck and why they put Sword in the sideboard, so it's a pretty good one to get there. But I think I will keep this. Probably just Plains Pass. It is tough to not keep a turn 1 hand though, but I think it's just fine. A hand with a turn 1 play, I mean, but let's see how we go. We'll keep. Hey Fox, welcome. I hope you're well. Oh, Plains Pass. Interesting. Second Plains is really nice because it's just a second white source that can't be wastelanded. Okay. This is a bit more of an issue. Sadly, Powder Keg won't kill the token because it will be indestructible. But something that I know a lot of players can get pulled up on because it is a new card. I don't think I want to wasteland the Wasteland. I'm going to assume they have another land, so I think it's just Plains Pass with Containment Priest up, unfortunately. Recruiter for Solitude's pretty nice. But, yeah, maybe Recruiter for Solitude is the correct play. The other thought is Recruiter just for Flicker Wisp and Flicker the Germ. Is that a Bailey's? I wish it was a Bailey's. This is a iced latte. But I do like that you thought it was a Bailey's. Alright. Alright, it's a pretty good clock. A part of me doesn't want to cast the Containment Priest here, just in case they have Flicker Wisp and they flicker my Recruiter next turn, but hopefully we're okay. Wisp. Because Skyclave is non-token, yeah. Free attack here. Second port would be tough. Second port would be pretty good. Especially second port into untap Wasteland, play a 4th land. Shit. Yikes. I feel like we need the Wasteland more than anything else. Okay. No great blocks here. I could buy some time. But even a pump here is pretty rough. My only thought there is you could keep the Flicker Wisp around and not use the counters and just see how I block. Because the Jide counters are going to save you either way. But it might make me triple block and then you can actually kill everything. By killing the Flicker Wisp then, and then pumping this to a 3-4, which kills both of these and doesn't kill the Stoneforge Mystic. I am going to block. Just to make the music counter. I guess there's a thought that maybe I should allow them to use 2 counters on the Containment Priest instead of just the 1. Yeah. Flicker Wisp on the Caldra is going to do it. Let's run this back. Definitely a bit of an interesting keep. A pretty slow one. And Caldra into natural Jide is, yeah, going to be a tough one either way. But yeah, maybe if I sniff out the Jide, I get a Solitude with the first Recruiter, and then try to buy some time for Recruiter into Flicker Wisp for the second one, but pretty tough. This is a pretty good hand. Turn 1 Vial into turn 2 Spirit or Path, and then we have Flicker Wisp shenanigans, which is kind of nice. Spirit not the greatest, but it is a nice aggressive threat. The only way that Spirit comes up is if my opponent has a sort of Fire and Ice and they get to draw a card. Or if they have something like Horizon Canopy or Silent Clearing and try to draw in their turn. But otherwise, it's a pretty vanilla 3-1 for 2 mana. Opponent goes to 5. Okay. Their own vial. Sure. There's a world that if I draw Containment Priest here, I just put Mum in and then play Containment Priest. Second Plains is pretty nice. I don't have to worry about Mum yet. They go for Kaldra, interesting. Definitely tick this up. Skyclave is pretty impressive. But I'm not too sure how I want to do this. They currently have the Kaldra, so that is one card in their hand. I don't think my opponent had a 5 with Vial, Stoneforge, and Mum. So my only thought here is that if I Skyclave the Stoneforge Mystic and they have an end step Mum, that does make things a little bit tricky. We do still have the Path to Exile and the Flickerwisp. But I think getting rid of the Stoneforge is the first thing. So I think first we'll definitely attack. Because if they block for some reason or put in something, then we definitely know that it's kind of the coast is clear. They did actually kind of 6 here, so maybe they have nothing. Wow, okay. Well, that's pretty nice for us. Because now there's a world where I don't actually mind just flickering their Vial to keep them off getting things going. Skyclave our own Vial. Okay. So this is an interesting one as well, because I think what I want to do is flicker the Skyclave to take out the Vial. And then I either have the option of wastelanding them to put them down to 2 lands, or holding up Path to Exile for something here, like Stoneforge Mystic. But if we take them off the land here, they won't have 4 mana next turn to do like Jide, Equip Jide, Swing. And we also have Mother. So I'm not scared of that. I think I actually like Wasteland and Vial if I am trying to squeeze them on their resources. Because once they start playing 2 spells a turn or something like that, that's going to be pretty tough. So let's start with an attack with Just Spirit. And then I kind of like using Flickerwisp like this. Hitting the... I could also just hit the Vial to take it down, but I don't really mind giving them a 2/2. Okay. This is going to be fine because we do have the path for the actual enchantment, I think. Get Jide. Now we Wasteland. Here's Kaldra. So I guess I get to save 2 damage here because they have 3 cards in hand. One is Kaldra, and I don't think the other 2 are going to be land and Swords to Plowshares. So I'm pretty happy here to block and then save 2 damage. Pro black, right? I'm probably okay swinging with everything here. Maybe not the Skyclave, just because it is a flicker target. We are going to give pro... Just because if we attack with Skyclave and they block with Skyclave, I'm going to give pro white, which means it can't be hit by Flicker Wisp in second main, because we can't target it. I think this is fine. Double block. Okay. Let's move this one forward, because I'd rather not give them... How do I... assign? Is that not how it... Don't I usually drag? Or did I go too far? Alright, let's rough. Well, I definitely wanted to kill the illusion in that case, but... I guess this is okay. Oh, I get the... Oh, of course, yeah. Of course, I get the 1/1. Yeah. Flicker my flicker just to give it sort of vigilance for the turn, and then we can take out this. They're still on 2 lands, so it's not like they have Jide online this turn, which is nice. And having double Flicker Wisp is huge, so hopefully that's enough. Okay. I'm not going to play the land. I'd rather have the unknown card in hand than just play a plains. Batterskull's going to be fine, because we can get pro. I actually don't mind pathing it. I'd rather not use the mum, because I don't want to put the mum into a situation where it can be removed, or they could remove a Flicker Wisp. I could also do something where I block and then path my own creature to get the land off it, but I think this is going to be fine. I might actually block first, and then before damage path. You get a tapped land here, which doesn't really do much. And hopefully this is still enough. But if they have third land into flyer, that's where it's tough. Okay. This is still okay, because we can swing with both Flick Wisps and just trade 1 and put them to 2. They do kind of get Jide next turn, but we do have the mum. So I guess they could have end step swords on Mother of Runes, untap, and then attack with Jide. I will play a plains here in case we draw Batterskull as well. Yeah. I will destroy it just to get it off the field. But this might just be enough to really turn the tides. Well, there's the Batterskull. Causes them to use the Jade. They have 2 cards. Recruiter's pretty good. Maybe they get Solitude? Mother of Runes. Okay. Hey Tom, welcome. Maybe they're looking to return the Batterskull here. That does nothing. Happy to attack and see what they do. I guess they could return Batterskull, put it into play, then give Pro. But surely everyone doesn't fall for the float white. That's definitely a sign of desperation. Wow, they don't. Interesting. Okay, all right. I'm gonna play the planes just in case I draw into Kaldra. We'll see if my opponent gives Pro first, because what I can do is block the Batterskull with my Batterskull, and then return it. So that damage doesn't occur. Interesting, they don't. Well, I'm happy to block. And then return. This turns on Kaldra as a live draw. I guess the germ is going to be tough, but we can see what happens. Well, okay. It's definitely a start. Mind sensor. Yikes. I'd probably just equip the Aven here. I have 0 cards in hand. Aven's a pretty free one. 2, 4, 5, 6. If you have a land here, you can put both equipment on the Aven Mind Sensor. Especially just to get away from that 2 life. Just didn't really draw the tools we needed for this game. We had a pretty good opener, but that's about it. No blocks. Hey, Legacy Council, welcome. Whisper's pretty good. I think we'll concede there. That's going to be a tough one to fight back from. Hey, Vegeta. Haha, back at you as well. I hope you're doing well. Always nice to play the mirror. A good one to ease into the league with. Obviously a lot of decisions, which is cool. But yeah, Jide both games really solid, and still definitely a bit of a mirror breaker. But Skyclave does make it a little bit less of an issue, especially in game 1, which is nice. Alright. On the play. I actually don't mind this hand. It is a turn 1 Vial with a Mum, and then we also have turn 2 Port, so I'm pretty happy to keep this. I'm not too sure what my opponent is on, but these are the hands that I thoroughly enjoy playing. I feel like my opponent is on lands. Okay, it's not going to be lands. Well, Wastelands never look so good. I wonder if it's actually better to Wasteland here than it is to Port. I'm not sure if in upkeep they can do something. Port also gives me the mana, so that if I draw into like Prelate naturally, then I can cast it. I don't mind that. It effectively does the same thing, which is kind of nice. It also means I can play Recruiter of the Guard for Thalia and put that into play. Prelate on 2 is GG. Yeah, I guess Prelate on 2 also hits Burning Wish, which is pretty nice. There's the 3. So they do have Metalcraft. I kind of wish that Plains was a Karakas in case they have the creature that they sometimes play. Alright, they hit Defense Grid, Ancient Tomb, Reforge. Reforge would actually be pretty nice for us. Rite of Flame. Looks like they're going for the Reforge. Oh, they had an LED as well. Rough. Did they not imprint something? So they don't have the mana for Reforge? Ah, because it's over here in the exile. Okay, that makes sense. Alright. Okay, there's Thalia and Recruiter, which is pretty nice, and Wasteland. So just have to survive a turn and go from there. This is definitely a matchup where I really like the Deafening Silences. As turn 1 plays, it's just so nice to have. Can probably look at... I'm not sure if Rest in Peace is worth it, or Surgical. They play Rite of Flame, which does use the graveyard, and sometimes Past in Flames. There's probably just a few cards that I can take out that aren't as good. Oh, we get a turn? Okay. Solitude. Okay, that's pretty sweet, because that kind of takes Mum away. So let's go... File first. Put in Thalia. I'm gonna waste... Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna waste the Ancient Tomb. And then just pass. And then next turn we can hopefully go Recruiter into Prelate. I wanted to keep the Mum back there instead of attacking in case of something like Burning Wish into Grape Shot, just to keep the Thalia alive. But it looks like they've got kind of under Thalia in a way that they don't really care about the taxing effect. They've got enough mana and ruby medallions to just not really care. Okay. One Rite of Flame, 2 Rite of Flame, 3 Rite of Flames. We actually don't have a second white here either, so if we don't draw a white, we can't cast the Skyclave, we have to put it in off the vial. And outside of Metamorphosed, I don't believe this deck really draws, other than Reforge. Okay. There's Burning Wish. Probably just for Tendrils here. Alright. Powder Keg is actually pretty interesting. I don't mind Powder Keg. Definitely the Deafening Silences. I can see the Sword Splash that's getting taken out, and the Solitude. Spirit's still okay. Revoke is still okay. Mum is pretty nice. I'm not sure if I want what sort of graveyard hate I want. I could also just see a cut on a land as well. This is going to be a game that's over in the first couple of turns, so it's not like I have to really grind out. I don't think Batterskull's where I want to be. It's probably just the Rips, because it also turns off Past in Flames, but Surgical's interesting. But I don't think this is really a matchup where I want the Surgical, unless it's something like this. Ruby Storm. Let's make a decision. Just want to see what sort of cards use the graveyard. So we have Echo, Past in Flames, Rite of Flame, Flashback on Ignite. Not too much. I think this is okay. I don't think I need the Graph Cage or the Judgment. This seems okay. It's really if I have Deafening Silence or not. That's the card that I'm going to be mulling to. Like, even this is a turn 2 Thalia is just not enough. Turn 2 Thalia with Surgical is interesting. You like Cage over Surgical? Cage stops Flashback. Is it just Graveyard? All libraries. What does that mean for things like Jeskai's Will? I actually like mulling aggressively for Deafening Silence. I really don't want to give my opponent a turn. Oh my gosh. Okay, keep. Put 5 back. Oh, we don't even have a white source. Rough. Yeah, as a 3 of, I thought I would have seen it, but it can just happen. It's pretty good. Well, they have the Echo. Okay. Can they just discard until they hit LED? And then just get Echo? I assume that's the plan. Oh, we get a turn. Haha. Tough one. I guess looking back, turn 2 Thalia wasn't too bad, but really one of those Deafening Silences is exactly why I played 3, so if I don't mulligan, then there's no reason to play the full 3. Really just want to try to hit it. There's the LED. They're going to keep going. They did hit Grape Shot, which is interesting. There's a Ruby, which is really strong. Echo's cool. Wow, just, yeah. Stuff that isn't relevant. We draw a recruiter? Yeah. Tough. Not too much I can do there. But if you're going to play a white deck in Legacy, you got to be ready to lose the combo pretty well. Cool deck though. I've definitely lost to it a few times on turn 1, which is pretty crazy. Doesn't happen too often, but does against the decks that I like to play. Death and Taxes, mono red. Hopefully, we can come back from this. Nice to shake off the cobwebs. But definitely have the tools to beat both matchups. In other good news, we hit the chat competition goal to play Legacy Challenge, which was 50,000 points, which is pretty sweet. So I might even play a challenge this Saturday, which would be pretty cool. A little bit high on lands, but at least 2 of them are utility lands, so I don't mind this. Turn 1 planes hold up swords, and then turn 2 Stoneforge into Caldra seems okay. Delta. Okay. Force pitch force. Sure. They get a Volk. Ponder. Okay. What does the Ponder do? Chose to not shuffle. File. There is a world where Spell Pierce means I shouldn't wasteland first. Getting a feeling this is going to be a show and tell deck and not a Delver deck, which is a little bit tough. Which probably means I actually want to recruit here for Solitude. But that's a tough one. I guess I could also Recruiter for Flicker Wisp, and then next turn hold up Flicker. Days, okay. Folk. Tundra. Interesting. Ragavan undashed. Okay. Delver, sure. Another Vial isn't great. So I could Swords the Ragavan here, which we also have Port as an out to. But I kind of like just holding up the swords so they can't dash next turn. We can tap them off. Okay. So we can play the Vial here, Port them, and then hold up Swords to Plowshares. But that doesn't play around Days. So I'd probably rather Swords here on Ragavan. Play around Days, play Vial, play around Days, and then Port the red source in upkeep, and just hope the top 3 cards aren't another red source and another Ragavan to dash. I think that's fine. I guess I could have ported in Draw Step as well, it's probably correct. Show it Days, okay. Seeing that they have a Days, I'm happy to tick this one up to 3, so that if we draw a 2-drop, we can still play it around Days. Hey Duckloud, welcome. I hope you're well. Well, that was the answer to Ragavan, but it does answer other Ragavans, which is kind of nice. Mucktide region is pretty strong here. It's pretty much lethal next turn if they have a lightning bolt. Alright, so this one first, and it's always no. And this one, yes. Okay. Well, it does give us a small out. I think I'm happy to trade with the Delver here instead of thinking we draw into like a Jide or something. I think if we draw into Jide, my opponent just dazes it so we can't equip unless we have a land as well, but then it's pretty tough. Always no, so we'll keep them at these. Stoneforge is pretty strong. I could... I think I just want to hold up Stoneforge and get Kaldra. Because Kaldra races pretty well. My opponent has 2 cards left, one is Daze. So if they play any other card, we know what it is. They play nothing interesting. They've also kind of F6'd, which is kind of nice. Interesting. They just can't beat this. Okay. Well, thankfully for a pretty slow hand against Delver, we just drew into enough to keep them off really applying too much pressure. But this is going to be an interesting match. Flicker Wisp was really nice, especially seeing they didn't have a lightning bolt. Pretty happy with that. I think I want the Judgment as just an extra removal spell that also hits Mugtide. The 2 paths for sure. Powder Keg's interesting because they're obviously playing a few 1-drops. They're probably playing the Dragon Rage Channeler as well. I don't mind sort of Fire and Ice, but I'm not sure what I want to cut for it. Revoker can definitely go. I don't mind cutting down on 1 Thalia, just because I am bringing in a fair amount of non-creature hate. There is a thought that either Kaldra or Batterskull have to go, just because this is the deck that most likely has removal spells for Stoneforge Mystic and Thalia. Yeah, Prince can probably come out. I do like Skyclaves because they hit Null Rod, which I could expect from my opponent. Maybe like 1 Recruiter for the Powder Keg. And then maybe Batterskull's too slow, and I should bring in the sort of Fire and Ice. Thanks, episode. Sword Batterskull's interesting. The lifelink can definitely be relevant. But the protection is pretty nice for Sword. I guess Batterskull's just better if my opponent does have Null Rod. We'll see how this flies. And if there is a game 3, there is a game 3. Really want to see that turn 1 Vial. We don't see turn 1 Vial, but we do see a pretty nice hand. I'm going to keep this. Double Basic's really nice as well. Ragavan, okay. A few options. I definitely don't want a Wasteland. I could Path and Upkeep. But if I Path, I probably just want to do it in attack phase to stop another Ragavan from dashing. Yeah, I think it's just hold up Path here. I'm not sure if they play a basic. So I know that Blue Red Delver in the past has played like 2 islands, 1 mountain. Hardcast days. Powder Keg. That's pretty interesting. I don't mind just jamming Thalia here. Could also Path and Mum. I don't mind that. This might look like that we only have the Mum as a blocker. Swords. Okay. Another path here is a little bit rough because they are answers to Mugtide. But hopefully that's okay. Oh, they don't have basics. That's pretty huge. And they don't have another blue source. Huh. Okay. So now I definitely want to Wasteland the Volk. And I think I just do that first and then cast the Thalia. If I play Wasteland and play Thalia, they could Wasteland my Wasteland, and then if I Wasteland the Volk in response, they can daze the Thalia, returning the Volk and saving it. So I don't think Wasteland is really going to see play after I play the Thalia. And I don't believe they're going to be on Stifle. Nice. Thalia landing is pretty brutal, because now we have another Plains into Jide. Yeah, this is really nice. Oh, they find a Tundra. Okay. So that could just be Swords to Plowshares. And it is Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Play Powder Keg. And then just hold up Sword. Sword's really nice, because now Powder Keg answers all their 1-drops, and Swords to Plowshares answers Mugtide. Stoneforge. I didn't expect Stoneforge Mystic. Path is a card in Legacy. Yeah, it's pretty good. Swords to Plowshares number 5 to 8, I guess. I do want to play around days here. I will tick this up. Wasteland, okay. Swords first. Wasteland Tundra. I guess I shouldn't 6 because I might want to sack the powder keg. File's actually not too bad. We do have Metalcraft, which is nice. Irrelevant, but pretty cool. Okay, well they just concede. Alright. That's fair. I've definitely been there. We're on the board. We're on the board, which is really nice. DWNB. This is a fine hand. Double basics really nice. A lot of good 2-drops for a bunch of different strategies, so pretty happy to keep this. Okay. This is probably going to be Affinity, which is really interesting. Retrofit is pretty good. I think Wasteland's actually fantastic here because it also turns off Metalcraft. Ah, okay. Chalice for 1. That's fine. Bobble, sure. Crucible, that's okay. Don't really care about that for now. I think just Stoneforge into Caldra here is fine. Opponent's on 2 cards. Hey JPN, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? They play the Tomb, they have a pedal, they have nothing else. Okay. They can Foundry, that's fine. The Caldra does have haste, which is great. Krakus. I don't really want to return the Emery just because it has an ETB. So I think it's just going to be land into Caldra. And start going to town. Next turn we can Spirit and Stoneforge Mystic, which is pretty sweet. Oh wow, okay. That's pretty good. Canonist is going to be fine. Servo's okay. Mum, okay. Interesting. Mum can't be cast with the Chalice, so it's still going to be 2-drop, 2-drop. Unless I want a Caracas. Can attack first. Let's see what happens. Nothing. They got a 6. Okay. What if the play is Stoneforge Mystic into Batterskull, hold up Batterskull, and then untap and equip to the Caldra and attack? That's pretty sweet. I think that might just be the play. I could also play the Spirit. Bauble plays around Spirit, Bauble plays around Spirit. I think just holding up Batterskull is fine. Makes it pretty hard for them to beat the Caldra. Oh, the Canonist also means that I can't cast 2 spells in a turn other than artifacts, so that's all good. But I think what I should have done is actually kept up the Caracas in a Plains instead of double Plains, just in case I needed to keep the Caracas up. What's this? White, 2 blue, and 3 mana? Taking it back. Hey Panda, very cool. Very much looking forward to that. Walking Ballista? I really want to know what this is. Yeah, it is a Ballista. That's gonna be okay. Double attack, that's fine. What's their plan here? I don't think they can beat Caldra with Skull here. Maybe they don't see it. Maybe I don't see something. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. This is a nice feeling. They're playing around the 4/4 attacker, yeah. I guess I can kind of attack with everything here. I don't really care about these Stoneforge Mystics. That feels really nice. Alright. Affinity. An interesting one. I don't think I want the Deafening Silences. I don't mind the extra part to Exiles. And the Judgment. Rest in Peace is an interesting one, but it's mainly just Emery and Crucible that we saw. I do like Revoker. I think Prelate can probably come out here. Solitude seems okay. Mother of Runes is... yeah, I'm not too sure if the Affinity decks are running removal that's coloured, or if they're just relying on things like Walking Ballista. Thalia also seems pretty mediocre. I don't mind keeping like one in. Hey Andre, welcome. I hope you're well. Powder Keg is exactly what I want. Yeah, Cataclysm might be where I want to be. Priest doesn't stop anything. Surgicals are interesting because they're Emery, but that's really it. I do like the Spirits because of their creatures that draw 2. Maybe I will keep a Mum. What's this? 58. I guess prelate for 0 isn't the worst. Maybe Graph Cage. No. Yeah, that does stop Emery. Hey, that's very cool to hear. I hope you enjoy the content. This is actually a tough one. Not too sure how to side for this matchup. Obviously, I want more removal. I'm not sure if it's a case of like wanting sort of Fire and Ice. That can kind of get through a few things because their flies are blue artifacts. What is the opponent playing? They're playing Affinity, which has definitely come up with a new set with a few new cards. I might actually just bring in a Surgical so that if we do lose game 2, I can hopefully Surgical their deck and see what they're actually relying on for removal and get a better idea of how we should be boarding. But I would love to see like a turn 1 Vial with like 1 piece removal just to keep off any really fast threats. I wonder if they're playing Stoneforge themselves, seeing they have access to white mana. This is a 1-lander with a port. I'm going to mull this. I think it might be something like this. Psy, Ballista, Esper Sentinel, Canonist. Yeah, this is going to be what it's like. So it is an Urza deck that runs Borra as well. Interesting. Echoing Truth. Okay. What's my opinion on Saga? I think Saga is the perfect power level for Legacy, but I don't have a great opinion on Modern because I don't currently play it, so take this with a grain of salt. But seeing the amount of decks that are playing Urza in Modern, or Urza Saga, I do think that's an issue. So I do think it's probably a little bit too powerful for Modern, but it's fine for... I think it's fine for Legacy. Yeah, we will mulligan this. And I'll keep this and bottom the Caldra. But yeah, Saga's pretty sweet. It's come up in a few different decks, which is really cool to see. I guess Chalice for 1 actually hurts his hand pretty badly, but I can't really play around Chalice. And once the Vial's in play, I can start using these ports. Yeah, Saga lands look really cool. Island Pass. Okay, that's a pretty good start for us. Alpine Moon apparently counters Saga really well. Yeah, so Saga has some very interesting interactions with a few cards, to say the least. I know that, like, if you copy... there's obviously Thespian Stage, which is really cool because you can copy it with the second Saga and kind of do some shenanigans there. And then also, like, if Thespian Stage as a copy of Urza's Saga goes to the 3rd act and you copy another land, like a forest, you still get to search your library for an artifact, but you don't lose the Thespian Stage because it's now no longer the Saga. White or blue? That's a big one. I think it's blue that I want to take them off because something like a Psy or a Emery would be pretty tough here. I don't really care about white. Yeah, it also permanently produces the tokens, which is pretty huge. Petty Theft this. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. But not the worst. Okay, there's the Saga. Powder Keg. Okay. Kind of like holding the Caracas for now in case my opponent has something aggressive. And just going for Vial. into pass with... Yeah, I'm okay with this. If the Saga gets a Pithing Needle, it's pretty tough. Is this tap? Yeah, okay. So with the trick on the stack, I can tap down the Saga here, which is kind of cool. I think that's a little bit better. It is interesting that Sagas aren't legendary. That's a pretty big one. I kind of hope to see a second artifact land here, because these are considered artifacts, so Powder Keg sees them as an artifact with 0 CMC, which is pretty huge. Chalice on 2. Wow. That's pretty good. I really need Wasteland here. Plains. Doesn't do enough. Tap down their blue source and see what they do. They're going to float, that's fine. So now they probably use the Ancient Den to tap the Urza Saga to get a creature out of it. And now we can tap down the Ancient Tomb. We'll see what they get with the Saga. I'm going to assume it's Pithing Needle. Yikes. I hit a bauble as well. We'll take this up because we could draw Flicker Wisp. Or another Stoneforge Mystic. Yikes. I just want to get rid of the construct here. I guess I could take one hit. Just in case they have like a an Urza. That would be pretty brutal. Take them off white here. Another Saga's pretty good. Trigger on the stack, I'll Swords it. But I think sadly this is just too slow. Guess I could cast a Brazen Burrower here. They also have 2 cards left. But these constructs are just so big. Really Flicker Wisp or bust. I guess we could hit Cataclysm. That would be pretty interesting. keep the Caracas. So that means that I probably want to keep this at 2. Actually, yeah, the powder keg's the best thing I can do because it kills the constructs. So I need to get rid of the vial. So that means I'll need to probably cast it. I'm seeing if I need to put this at 2. Keep it at 2 for the Stoneforge Mystics and put it at 3 for Flicker Wisp. If I put it to 3, I get to flicker out the Chalice, play Powder Keg, and also Stoneforge Mystic, and hold up Caracas. If I put this to 3... if I keep this at 2, then I get to cast Flicker Wisp, hit the Chalice, and then put in Powder Keg. So it's much of a muchness, but keeping this at 2 means I can't hold up Caracas. So I think I will actually tick it up. Recruiter also gets there. That doesn't do anything. Needles on Vial as well, yeah. That's just a situation where I didn't really have anything. Not too much I can do. I'm just going to submit the same list. The Surgical's a little bit rough. Maybe I will just bring in like a Thalia on the play. Okay. I'm going to keep this, but it's rough because we only have the Vial as white mana. But I think that's okay. It's a pretty good 7 if we draw into a white source. And even if we don't, we have turn 2 Port and then turn 3 Stoneforge. We might even just get there with Wasteland. I don't want to show the Wasteland just yet, in case my opponent then opts to go for like fetch land into Island instead of just playing one of their non-basics. So I think Port gives away less information. Wow, they forced it. Didn't really expect that, but that's okay. Ancient Tomb, sure. Chalice for 1, sure. The mana's not doing much for me here, so I don't mind wastelanding there instead of using the Port. Looks like my opponent's also having a slow turn. They have Emery. Yikes. With Lotus Petal. Okay. Just gonna go for Caldra here. Pass. 2 cards. Another Emery. They do hit a Thought Monitor. But now they sack that to turn off. What are they doing here? Go back Bauble. Okay. It's good for us. Second white's pretty fantastic because it means that we have Council's Judgment next turn. But I think here we just want to get down the Cauldra and attack. If we draw a white source off the top, we could even Councils and Swords. But there's also a world where I might just want to Council's Judgment the Emery and not care about the Chalice, because we also have things like Flicker Wisp to get out of that. Powder Keg would also be pretty incredible, because you get rid of the Chalice. Wasteland. Let's get rid of the Emery. I'll play a land just in case of something weird. This is actually an interesting one. Because I do have the swords for the Emery, if I don't get rid of the Chalice here, if my opponent untaps, plays a Soul Land, and then goes Urza, that's going to be pretty rough. I think I do just want to get rid of the Chalice, and then have swords open the following turn, because although Emery can get back Chalice... Oh, they can cast it. Interesting. Okay, so they actually cast this, not just put it into play. So my thought process was that Emery can't put back Chalice on 1, it can only put back Chalice on 0. But it can cast it, so... Hey, Beebs. I think for that reason I will go with the Emery. Alright. This attack also puts Ancient Tomb in an awkward position because it puts them down to 4. There's a seat. Canonist. That's going to be okay. Pretty happy just to attack with Caldra, Wasteland the seat, and then port their island and upkeep. They could do no blocks. They do block, okay. Hit this now. And then there's no point playing a land here. Caldra has just been phenomenal. The haste has been really relevant. Yeah, nice. Okay. Very nice to recover from an 0-2 start. We can hopefully finish this as a 3-2. Take a small break and then play another league. Interesting matchup. Definitely need to know what your resources are doing. Because it can get to a situation where a Chalice just locks some out that you could have potentially cast earlier on. Yeah, I mean, we had Blue-Red Delver pretty much concede to us because we have the Caldra against a Mucktide, which was just huge. I did not expect that, but it's obviously just so hard to deal with because you can't destroy it, so a Braid doesn't do anything. You could bounce the token with like a Brazen Burrower, but we haven't been seeing too much of that. Yeah, interesting one. This hand's okay in the blind, especially against a blue deck, which just based on Legacy, I'm going to assume they're on a blue deck. Having the second Thalia to kind of have like an uncounterable version if the first one gets countered is really nice. So we also have a nice stable mana base. Turn 1 Mum's great against both fair and unfair decks, and then Swords to Plowshares for removal is just fantastic. So it is going to be an island pass. Okay. Cool choice in island as well. A third Thalia, okay. They're going to force that. Pitching Brazen Burrower. Okay. So this is probably going to be a Delverish deck, seeing they're playing Brazen. Hey, the Mighty Penguin, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I know a few of you are here for the first time who have seen me before on YouTube, but if you haven't, there's my YouTube channel in chat. So if you do want to see some more of my content, you can check me out there. You can subscribe, getting pretty close to 15, the big 1500, which is cool. Forest. Library, okay. Library's really strong. I really need like a Skyclave for that. I guess a Spirit of Labyrinth wouldn't be too bad either. But the Forest makes me think they're going to be on a Endurance deck, which is kind of tough. At least next turn, if they only play a third land and pass, we do have the Swords to exile it. But Endurance can be really hard to get through. Yeah, Bantblade's definitely interesting as well. Really interesting here to see my opponent not aggressively Sylvan Library to find the extra land. So we can definitely Swords this. There's also potential for Flickerwisp on Tarmogoyf and save the Swords. But I think this is okay. Almost said it's Infect. Yeah, it could possibly be Infect, especially with Borrower is kind of cool as like a removal spell / protection spell. Surely we see my opponent pay at least 4 life here, because I only get to see 1 card deeper. And even if it's a land, I assume my opponent wants to just, like, while we don't have any pressure on, wants to really start grinding through their deck, making their land drops. Wow. Wow. Still nothing. I'm just going to play out legit here. Because if they have another Goyf, then if we draw a land, we can flicker out the Goyf and attack with an equipped Thalia. They're going to force this. That's going to be okay. Exiling an Uro. That's pretty huge. Uro would be pretty good on this board. Yeah, so it's looking like a at least Simic midrange deck, which I can only assume plays a third color. How do I assess the Maverick versus Ninjas matchup? Well, Mighty Penguin, I actually have an article coming out very shortly with Lawyer Goyf going through the matchup between Maverick and Ninjas, which is very cool. I just need to finish it off a little bit, but yeah, it should be out hopefully this week. It's been in the draft for a while. I think here I'm pretty happy to get Recruiter into Mum, but that does get a little bit hit by Plague Engineer, which I'm not sure if I want to play into. I could also go Recruiter for Skyclave. I actually don't mind that, because we already have the Flickerwisp to flicker the Recruiter. But yeah, really interesting, because even though my opponent would have been taking life when we were aggressively attacking with Thalia, there was a stage where... they could have maybe paid to dig a little bit deeper. Prelate's interesting. This definitely makes me think that they have a Endurance. And I can't really play around Endurance other than Flickerwisp on a source of mana and then go to attack phase, which isn't great. I think here I actually just want to Skyclave on the Sylvan Library and just don't attack. Prelate on 3 sadly doesn't stop Endurance because Prelate is only non-creature spells. I think it is just Skyclave on Sylvan Library and take the turn. Yeah, so I think that even if they were aggressive with their library, having Uros in the deck, they could definitely stabilize back. But really respecting Endurance here, and I kind of hope they have it. Okay, good. Because I didn't want to run into that. They're going to make us shuffle, which is interesting, because they forced the Jide, and now they're putting it back in the deck for us to find with Stoneforge Mystic. But it is going to be a bug mid-range deck, which is cool. But yeah, Mighty Penguin, I have a pretty tough time against ninjas. I have a lot to learn with the matchup because I usually switch back and forth between using removal on the enablers and using removal on the actual threats instead of sticking to one, which I assume should just be the threats. So yeah, really cool to get some insight about that. There's the Stoneforge, which is pretty funny. I don't have a great attack, so I think it is just Stoneforge, and then hopefully get Kaldum online. I could also go for Jide because it is castable, and Jide attacking with Thalia actually is not the worst. Because of First Strike, we would be able to kill an Endurance. But we are currently 2-2, so I think Kaldra is the more spice line. So I'd rather do that. If my opponent has like an Abrupt Decay here, that's okay. Not the greatest, but... Interesting. Decay the Skyclave. Makes me think they have to have another answer for the Stoneforge Mystic in hand. Or else the Kaldra just takes this game over. Fatal Push, okay. Wasteland would be pretty good here. Port's pretty good as well. Because we get to flicker Recruiter and then port them as well. I probably just want to get another Flicker Wisp as well. Oh, Solitude's actually pretty interesting, but I think this is okay. Take them off blue and upkeep. With a Bloom. Oh, okay. That's a little bit scary. We do thankfully have Flicker Wisp Recruiter. Skyclave's also pretty good. But we only have 5 mana. I guess we can prelate for 2. A few things to do. I believe with Solitude, it is just a creature, so I can cast it through Thalia anyway. If I really wanted to play around Force of Will, I could have ported first, so they couldn't pay Force through Thalia and then done this, but I think this is going to be okay. How does the Chain of Smog combo work? So, Witherbloom Apprentice is, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it kind of drains for every time you cast or copy a spell. And Chain of Smog is, target player discards 2 cards, and I think if you target yourself, or the target of the spell can copy the spell, so you then just target yourself. So you don't have to have cards in hand. You probably just discard your hand and then you just keep going. And each time you target yourself, you gain a life and your opponent loses a life. So let's go and get Solitude. And tap down Island again. Yeah, so they don't have to discard cards, they just have to target themselves. So they have the chain. Do they have blue card force in hand? I guess we can actually wait. This is fine. Okay, yeah. So interestingly enough, we can let this resolve because they target themselves and they have to discard. They discard Uro and Witherbloom. And now they target themselves again. But now with the trigger on the stack, we can cast this by evoking, pitching a Thalia. So the tough part with the combo is that you do have to discard your hand before you kind of go off. So if your opponent does have some sort of removal spell, then you're just going to lose, because then we can just target the Witherbloom with the next trigger on the stack. So it's a pretty tough combo to get going. And luckily here it's going to work out pretty well because we have Skyclave for the endurance, attack for 8. They have to block. Well, they don't have to block, but what can we draw? Port. Okay. I think I should have actually played the Prelate as well, but it's definitely a tough one. I think I'll just take them off the underground scene upkeep. Yeah, okay. Okay, Witherbloom. I kind of want the extra part to exiles, seeing cards like Uro and Endurance. I probably want the Council's Judgment, seeing cards like Uro and Endurance, but also like Sylvan Library. I don't mind the Rest in Pieces. And I'm gonna expect something like Plague Engineer. With her bloom, sounds like a Pulp Fiction romance. Nice, nice. Spirit's still great, Stoneforge still great, Thalia is okay. Definitely these three. Maybe I don't need all the Rest in Pieces. I still like the suite of creatures. Prelate for 2 seems great, seeing they played Sylvan Library, Abrupt Decay, and Chain of Smog. It might just be a mum, to be fair. I'm going to assume post-board they have a lot of non-targeted removal in Plague Engineers, so definitely a card to look out for. I don't mind this hand. Turn 2 Spirit. Turn 2 Spirit's pretty good in the face of like Sylvan Library and Uro. We also have removal for the combo. The Batterskull makes this a 6, but I'm pretty happy with this 6. Island into Ponder into Shuffle. Okay. I think Vile here is just the perfect draw, but it's not Vile. Flag pass. Island's a little bit rough because it means they can't cast a turn 2 Witherbloom Apprentice if they really wanted to. Wasteland, okay. Interesting mana base. This looks like a really tough mana base in a bug deck. Do they have the Plague? Fatal Push, okay. It's pretty fair. I'm happy to Plains and Scry too. Definitely don't want lands. Kind of want to find neither of these. Brainstorm's gonna be okay. Hey Cranes, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Chose to shuffle again, wow. Opponent really digging. Obviously for a green source, perhaps. Solitude. Yeah, mana base is interesting. Obviously with like Ponder, Brainstorm, Ponder, and still not finding a green source is pretty rough. We'll see if they waste on the port here. They do. I'm not sure if it's normal to play Wasteland in Spog. Maybe my opponent just wants the Wasteland as some interaction with something like Urza's Saga. Thoughtseize. That's going to be okay. They probably just take the path here. They take the Caldra. Okay, that's fine. Definitely weren't getting close to casting that, so. Yeah, it's always interesting to see how people adapt to new cards with their decks. Obviously, Urza's Saga is a card that you do have to have some sort of answer for. This Charming Prince could go all the way. We have a lot of removal. We'll float. Shit. Okay. Yeah, even the new standstill decks look really strong. A lot of cool decks around. There we go. But nothing interesting. Surely. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to show the Wasteland yet. I really want them to... If they have a forest, I don't want them searching for the forest. Like a bayou, I'd love to see. Okay, they have the forest. Interesting, not killing the threat. Okay. Well, pretty happy to go after the Underground Sea here. Library's fine, we have the Skyclave for it, which is nice. Goif's okay, we got the path. Huh. Failed to find. Interesting. They got the forest off the fetch land and that was their last basic in the deck. Tough. Well, we recovered to a 3-2, which is pretty nice. What do we get up against? Affinity? BUG Smog. And there was one deck in between. That was a very good path. D&T, Ruby Storm, Affinity, BUG Smog, and something else. Was it Delver? It was Delver. It was blue-red Delver. Nice. Alright. Let's run it back.